ready to go.
Here we go.
Soot's mom is waiting right outside the door.
They're good. It's okay.
To see a mother's face light up when she sees her child's face transformed, the gratitude beyond words.
They come out and you just see a whole new person, a whole new beginning. It's almost like they're reborn. And it's just, I can't think of another word but phenomenal.
There you go. Are you going to be a doctor now?
Cháu cười to lên rồi cháu cười lớn lên.
Cháu cười, con cười.
Hello and welcome to Talk Vietnam. The life of Thanh, the main character in the clip you've just seen, has changed forever after a surgery conducted for free by Operation Smile. Thanh is among the nearly 60,000 children throughout Vietnam ever operated on by volunteer doctors from this organization. Let's find out more how Operation Smile has gifted those born with cleft lips and cleft palates in Vietnam new smiles for new lives over the last 30 years. And it's our honor to have here with us today the co-founders of Operation Smile, Dr. Bill McGee and his wife, Kathy McGee. Thank you so much for joining our Talk Vietnam today. Yeah, we just watched a clip about the story of Thanh, the little boy. Can you tell us more about Thanh and his situation, and how did Operation Smile found him and gave him treatment?
Yeah, well, actually, that child was one of our patients that we screened, and the mom called him Soot, which means cleft child.
Yeah.
So it's not very nice to have that name.
Yes.
And so then we did the surgery, and after that,
He was a different child.
yeah.
And it's everything changed, I think, in his life. I always remember the picture. He had never gone to school before. And always remember the picture that they took when the photographer went back maybe 4 or 5 months later to his school. And they asked him, who's your best friend? And there's this beautiful little girl that was there, and it was him looking at this little child, and the two of them with this childish, almost grins on their face.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the two of them now being totally normal people and able to communicate in a way that he had never been able to communicate before.
So even after the surgery, the mom felt so good about it and so appreciative. She said, I have to, he's had a change in physical change, but I need to give him a name that gives him hope in life.
Yeah.
And his name then was called Thanh.
Thanh, yes.
Which also means blue sky, right?
Yeah.
Which gives hope to that child and changes the way he feels about himself.
Yeah.
Because it's not just outside, then it has to be inside.
Right. I guess our audience out there are very curious about how's Thanh life now after the surgery. Maybe can you give us some more update?
He actually was in the armed service.
Armed service.
Yeah. And now he is working and being very successful.
Yeah.
So, you know, it totally changed his trajectory in life.
Yeah. That's amazing.
These children never get to school.
Yeah.
Because they're not speaking, they have a facial deformity. They're actually made fun of all the time.
Yeah.
And so then for him to be back in school and have a life, really, through this surgery, is so important for us to keep with these kids and give them that future.
Yeah, you know, in Vietnam, many of us know and familiar with the term in Vietnamese phẫu thuật nụ cười, which is Operation Smile. Yeah, but maybe not many people understand clearly about what is the mission and activities of Operation Smile in Vietnam. So can you help introduce and elaborate more?
In 1987, I went to my 25th high school reunion. And a friend of mine was there with me, and he had fought in Vietnam after he got out of college. And he said to me, Bill, would you consider going to Vietnam? He said, because right now the United States and Vietnam have no relationship, and we don't talk to one another.
Yeah.
And he said, I think that if you could take Operation Smile to Vietnam, through children, you could create a relationship. So we went back in 1988, and we went there, and 5 of us. And we met with the government officials, and we met with the surgeons in Ho Chi Minh City, and then in Hanoi. And it was unbelievable how anxious people were to work together.
Yeah.
So we organized a team, and we got the ability from the government to come here. And so actually it was 1989, February of 1989, when we brought our first team to Vietnam. And we operated probably on about 120 children at the Olof Palme Hospital. We were almost the first Americans to come back to Vietnam in an informal way. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing, the bond that was formed almost immediately through the children. I think, now after these, 30 years, here, but after 38 years of doing this now, we're the largest volunteer-driven surgical team, nonprofit in the world. So why is that? It's not because of Kathy and I, per se. It's because we've had a chance to expose others to what we saw that first time. Then their heart took hold. Their heart, it drove them to add more to the organization than we would have as individuals. And it's that collaboration of everybody based on their emotion, based on their sensitivity, their caring, that has created the organization that it is today.
I came across children that had traveled for days to join the mission. To be a part of the mission is a life-changing experience for children that have small defects such as a cleft lip or a cleft palate. The transformation that this type of surgery can make on someone's life and community is irreplaceable. This is why we enjoy Operation Smile.
Hội phẫu thuật nụ cười quốc tế đã mang những cái kỹ thuật mới đến cho đội ngũ bác sĩ trẻ Việt Nam. Những kỹ thuật tiên tiến nhất trên thế giới cùng với những cái trang thiết bị mới đã giúp cho cái ngành y tế nói chung và đặc biệt là cái tạo hình vi phẫu thuật Việt Nam phát triển mạnh mẽ sau này.
Các bạn khi làm việc thì luôn luôn tận tâm với trẻ. Các bạn có thể đến rất sớm, từ trước 7 giờ để đi thăm trẻ, rồi để khám trước mổ. Và đến tối muộn thì các bạn cũng về đến 10 rưỡi, 11 giờ với những ca mổ cuối cùng. Rồi thì mỗi khi mà trẻ sốt, trẻ đau thì các bạn mặc dù là có bất đồng về ngôn ngữ một chút, nhưng mà cùng với sự giúp đỡ của tình nguyện viên và các nhân viên y tế của bệnh viện thì các bạn cũng cố gắng để làm giảm những cái nỗi đau cho bệnh nhân. Thì đấy là những cái mà mình nhìn thấy rằng là thật sự là các tấm lòng rất đáng quý.
These children may never know your name, but they will. They always thank you. They truly, truly thank you for giving them a life. When you see a parent come up and they just bend and thank you, we're sending that thank you out to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Cảm ơn.
Thank you very much.
Cảm ơn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your support.
So your trip to Vietnam this time marks the 30th anniversary of Operation Smile here in Vietnam. Can you share more a little bit about this trip here?
Well, to us, it's very personal. It's not just a medical trip. I can tell you a story that's very personal to both of us. Is on the very first trip we took back in 1988, there was only 5 of us. And one was John Connor, myself, 2 other people, but also our 17-year-old son. And he was with me the whole time. 20 years later, he and his wife were unable to have children. And they decided to adopt a Vietnamese child and adopted a beautiful, beautiful little Vietnamese girl who was 3 days old when she was left at an orphanage and 3 months old when they adopted her.
Right.
And she's now 13. And just this beautiful, beautiful child. It's such a blessing to our family. And when you think about that, here, why Vietnam? Why would he decide on Vietnam? It's because I think when he was 17, he fell in love with the Vietnamese people. And I think that the more that people can see the culture and the personality, the people of Vietnam, you can't help but be impressed by what an incredible country it is. By the time 1988 came around, we were in 5 different countries by that time because each friends told their friends, and we just kept trying to raise money and supplies and equipment, and everybody who came was as touched as we were. So it just organically grew on its own.
Now we have somewhere around 10,000 medical volunteers who we can access now through here to help in China or to help in the Philippines or in India. Everybody kind of pulls together. So, you know, everybody can do a little piece to make the world a better place.
So it's really interesting too, because now we'll put out 150 missions this year. We have about 8,000 to 10,000 medical volunteers, as Kathy said. Yes, and it's the Vietnamese now traveling to sub-Saharan Africa, maybe.
That's amazing.
Or to the Middle East to share their skills with these people. So it joins our world together. And it is just amazing how people are willing to help.
Nguyễn Thị Trang is a native to the northern province of Ninh Bình. Her 6-month-old son, who was born with cleft lip and palate, just underwent an Operation Smile free surgery at the Hanoi-based Military Central Hospital 108.
Sau em mổ oan thì cháu tốt hơn nhiều, lại là cháu ăn dễ ăn uống hơn trước kia nhiều nữa, nên là cháu không bị sặc.
Surprisingly, Chang herself also received a similar surgery from Operation Smile 26 years ago.
Lúc bệnh bây giờ thì là chưa có máy móc để mà siêu âm. Vâng. Thì đến lúc mà khi cháu sinh cháu ra đấy thì là cháu bị hàm ếch không bú được. Đêm hôm là dậy là vắt sữa cho cháu ăn bằng thìa. Tất cả các bác sĩ và trong bệnh viện các bác là nói chung là đều là chăm sóc tốt. Cháu mổ xong thì cháu về thì bố mẹ là rất phấn khởi. Con mình nó bị một tí như vậy thì đi ra bên ngoài là mọi người ta nhìn vào thì nó cũng, bố mẹ thì cũng hơi tủi thân. Nhưng mà khi lúc mà cháu làm xong rồi thì hoàn toàn là bố mẹ là đều khác hết, về là vui vẻ không có sao cả. Khác hoàn toàn nhỉ. Đấy, lần trước mình bé thì mình đi, nói chung là các bạn hay trêu ấy, thì mình cũng không tin. Nhưng mà lớn dần thấy bình thường. Sau em mổ thấy là mình vẫn hơn người khác rất là nhiều. Nhiều người vẫn thiệt thòi hơn mình nhiều lắm.
The surgeries have completely changed Chang and her son's lives, just like it did for Lý Thị Hải, a Nùng woman from Tuyên Quang province. Her son, 2.5 years old, was born with cleft interior palate. His surgery was a success.
Cháu ăn rồi em chưa thấy là nó hiện tượng nó không ra múi nữa rồi ấy. Thế là đối cái chỗ đấy chị ạ, không mà cứ ăn là nó chảy ra múi. Em cũng chắc hy vọng là mai sau con mình chắc là thay đổi chị ạ. Tại vì những cái cô bác sĩ cũng dạy là về phải dạy con mình nói những từ, nói dạy con học đọc đấy. Vâng, chu đáo lắm chị ạ. Đấy, cẩn thận với mình, thế là cứ yên tâm chị ạ.
The surgery was done free of charge. Operation Smile also helped Hai and her son with meals, accommodation and travel.
May ở đợt này xuống lại được hỗ trợ như thế, không em đi xa cũng vất xuống đây ở trú đâu mình không biết đường ấy. Thế là xuống đây may ở lại ăn ở như thế đỡ vất vả nhiều chị ạ. Thực sự là nhà nông mình thì may mắn, thật ra đối với mẹ con nhà em với lại cả những người mẹ khác ấy, đợt này thật sự là rất may chị ạ. Là em cũng chẳng biết nói gì hơn là em rất cảm ơn thôi.
On this mission, the Operation Smile team and the medical staff of the Military Central Hospital 108 screened over 250 children and operated on more than 100 with cleft lips and palates.
Our VTV crew, we came to the Military Central Hospital this morning to report on the activities of Operation Smile, and we found a woman who was taking care of her child, and the child was just had the surgery.
Oh.
And then later on, we found out that the woman actually also received the surgery, the treatment from Operation Smile 26 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how do you feel when you heard about this story?
Well, actually, I guess we have two feelings. Like, we know this is a possibility, but what has stimulated us is to look into research. Why is this happening? No one knows what causes a cleft lip and palate.
Yeah.
So we are working with the Vietnamese and University of Southern California to find out a cause of cleft lip and cleft palate.
Yeah.
So we know we have the largest repository of DNA, 16,000 DNA samples that we are now looking at in different ways. And we also look at the epidemiology. We ask the patients questions. What do you eat? Where do you live? What happens in your home? And so this exposure actually are some of the reasons causing this clefting. We don't know exactly yet, but we know nutrition is an issue.
Yeah.
We know that you can't just eat 8 cups of rice a day and be healthy. We know that maybe you live in an environment that exposes you to factories that are throwing out all these toxins, or are you cooking over a stove in your home and you're inhaling toxins? We're seeing a higher, we don't know that causes it, but a higher percentage of women that we see cooking over these stoves are having these issues with clefting children. So we're really charged now to take a look at this and see what are the causes, and maybe we can prevent it.
Yeah. So
because you're looking at numbers, what the numbers of kids born just here every year.
It's probably over 3,000 children a year born in Vietnam alone.
Yeah.
There's probably 1 out of every 700 children are born with a cleft, but in a population as large as yours, that really gets it down to a couple of 100,000 people in the country that have clefts. And so you have great doctors and nurses and anesthesia providers, but when you have that large a number, to try and catch up to the backlog is huge. And that's why we're so blessed that people are willing to come up from all over the world to help the Vietnamese. But the Vietnamese on their own, as Cass said, have now operated on about 60,000 children since we started.
Color Run for Smiles, a fundraising event for Vietnamese children with hair lips and cleft palates, took place in mid-November in Eco Park urban area adjacent to Hanoi. This was the first time Operation Smile Vietnam ever organized such an event by itself, drawing the attention of some 2,500 participants.
Everyone came out. I think they know what Operation Smile does for the children in this country. So they all came together like a band and helped take care of more children. We just did 400 surgeries this week, 3,000 dental procedures. So just in 1 week, can you imagine what we do all year? So we're very excited.
Established in 1989, up until now, Operation Smile Vietnam has healed 60,000 smiles for children over most of Vietnam. Acknowledging the meaning of these surgeries, renowned singer Đức Tuấn has taken the role of Operation Smile Vietnam ambassador for more than 4 years. Each time he takes part in such an event, he grabs the chance to help spread the strength of sharing.
Tuấn rất là yêu trẻ con và Tuấn hiểu được cái tầm quan trọng của cái niềm hạnh phúc. Có những cái niềm hạnh phúc vô cùng giản đơn mà các em không có được. Chạy bộ là một cái bộ môn cực kỳ đơn giản mà ai cũng có thể thực hiện được một cách dễ dàng, không tốn kém. Nó giống như nó đơn giản như một cái nụ cười trên môi của một trẻ em mà đôi khi mà các em không có được. Nên là chúng ta hãy bắt đầu từ những cái việc làm rất giản đơn để đóng góp được những cái phần nhỏ, rất là nhiều những cái đóng góp nhỏ nó sẽ tạo nên một cái sự đóng góp lớn dành cho các em.
Through a 5-kilometer fun run, Operation Smile Vietnam hopes to inspire and engage the community to spread the message until we heal. We won't stop until we heal every child who needs us. And that desire has met a great response.
I think it's for a good cause, and also it's fun to run.
My friend told me to sign up for it because she had a child who needed an operation, so a lot of the foreigners came today to support her.
The event organizers say all the money raised from this event will help provide free surgeries for 100 patients in Vietnam with cleft lips and palates.
I think love, by definition, is self-sacrifice. I think love is a decision to make somebody else's problem your problem. By doing things like today, you show love. In return, you receive love. If we could spread that concept around our world, what a much more beautiful world it would be for all of us.
To be able to give free treatment for all of the cleft lips and cleft palate patients, you have to involve different stakeholders in the society. Fundraising is a very important activity. So maybe can you share more about how did you engage all of the stakeholders as business, corporate or individuals?
By just going out and meeting them and telling them the story and showing them a video and bringing a tear to their eye. If you can reach people's hearts and their emotion, then they're willing to help you.
People don't, I think we always realize that they don't know what to do, but if they get involved, we know they can use their talents to change a life. We know that.
And for people to realize that, you know, whether they give $1 or $1 million, they're helping somebody. But we can't do this without their support. And use the different skills of the business community, the medical community, the everyday citizen, the students who are in the student clubs, the runs that go on where people, you know, force themselves to go beyond themselves. Just get the communities involved and generous and caring. And, you know, think if everyone who listened to this show said, I'll give $1. You know, what if every citizen, the 100 million people in your country said, I'll give $1. That'd be $100 million. Why not? I mean, it's that expensive. And I think that there's so many wonderful, wonderful people today. On this trip, for instance, there's a wonderful, wonderful human being named Conrad Hilton, who's the third generation of Hiltons that started the Hilton Hotels. Years ago, he got involved with us, with the Hiltons. And to date have given us so much money and support and friendship along the way. You couldn't do it without the foundations. You couldn't do it without the companies, the product. It's the gift that they're able to give us. They take their strength, combine it with the strength of another individual or corporation, and together they create something that no one can create by themselves.
And we are very honored to have here with Talk Vietnam today, Mr. Conrad Hilton III, a board member of Hilton Foundation. Thank you so much for joining Talk Vietnam.
Happy to be here, thank you.
So what's so special about Operation Smile that made Hilton Foundation decide to keep supporting over the years?
Well, let me first tell you about the foundation a little bit. And the foundation was created about 75 years ago, but it was funded by the hotel chain that my grandfather started, and that celebrated its 100 years this year as well. The Hilton Foundation chose Operation Smile, and of course, for what they did in basically changing a life, what was that, one smile at a time. I mean, they were so direct. They go into the field, they see a condition it's quite prevalent around the world, and that could cause social scars, alienation in communities, and they get the doctors together, they fix that, and it changes a person's life. Really what sustains this is the love for children, is the hearts of the volunteers. So I've been proud to stand with these people, with this organization on their 30th anniversary.
I would just like to tell the story of this, I don't know, Conrad, I don't think you were in the OR, but we were just in the operating room in Ho Chi Minh, first patient. And our surgeon that has been with us almost 30 years, her father started before her. And she did a beautiful job on this surgery, because you have to pay attention to making sure your lip comes together properly, or if you tighten it up too much, it can be short. She paid a lot of attention to every single stitch she put in. And then, you know, we sat there and we were waiting for the child to wake up to at least bring him into the post-op area. And then we walked in and the parents were there. And I have to say it was a very emotional moment for us, because, you know, the mom took the child and for them it's like, oh my gosh, my child looks whole again. And then the father came and he was holding the child's hand behind her, and he sobbed and sobbed, because he realized he's so appreciative of what everybody could do for him to really change that life of that child. It just blew us all away. We were all in tears watching this dad that day. So.
And the thing is, it took only 1 hour to transform
Absolutely.
a child. So is there anything to look forward to for future project?
Well, yes. I mean, one, we've helped them over the years. I think we helped them in their new their headquarters. But then they came to me with this proposal, working with the government of Vietnam, that I immediately took to the rest of our board and was an advocate for it, proponent for it, because it basically utilized the skill set they have developed over the years of safe surgical field hospitals, what protocols that you would need to make sure that when you're in maybe not the best conditions, protocols that would have an outcome of safe surgical outcomes. And I thought that made a lot of sense, because look at how we fly today. And it's a simplistic analogy, but it's still I think a good analogy. The checklist that pilots go through before, and these have been developed over time and decades, but there's a checklist when the pilots get in the plane that they go through before they take off. Well, why not have a similar checklist before you go into an operating room? I mean, I'm told that 1 out of 3 diseases require surgery. But their government being able to put in, to help, to work with these people, this organization, other smart people like WHO, but to develop safe surgical protocols. And once you develop them, with your country being able to put them in all 1,400 of your hospitals. And I would just imagine, because I've seen similar studies, but I would imagine that it would be a statistical significance, a statistically significant drop in mortality and morbidity rates. And this would not just serve the interest of Operation Smile and its people, nor of the people of Vietnam, but I think it would be a testament to the rest of the world to see what you can do when you get together and to follow certain standards.
Let me add to what Conrad has just said, because it is a big, big deal at the World Health Organization, the WHO. And it was Vietnam that introduced, along with Zambia, to the whole body of the World Health Organization, all the nations involved with that, that these standards should be established for surgery worldwide. And so in the Sustainable Development Goals, which were just passed a couple of years ago, they put into those Sustainable Development Goals the safe surgery, and it was because the Vietnamese sat on the floor and instituted it and suggested to it. So Vietnam has taken a big, big step in the world to say, we may not be the biggest country in the world, but we do know about surgery, and here is something that's essential for everybody else, not just us.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Conrad Hilton, for your sharing here today with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Hanoi, Vietnam, February 1989. The medical mission known as Operation Smile has come to Vietnam to perform reconstructive surgery to correct facial deformities. Almost all the patients are children. Operation Smile has been traveling to developing nations since 1982. This is the first mission to Vietnam. It is the largest group of Americans to enter the country since the end of the war. Of the 38 volunteers on the team, 7 are veterans of the Vietnam War. They were 21 when they were in the Delta in most of '68 and early '69. The veteran was John Connor, a high school classmate of Bill McGee, who later became a successful businessman. He was unable to make the first mission because he was undergoing chemotherapy for lymphoma, likely caused by his exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. He did make the second mission the next year in Ho Chi Minh City.
I talked with Washington just before we left, and they told us that they're very, very pleased with the work that Operation Smile has been doing and the tremendous progress that we've made in this accountability.
An astounding success. The bridging of cultures had begun.
We met with some pretty remarkable people, especially in retrospect. One of them was Dr. Phan, who was the head of the Vietnamese doctors.
This renowned surgeon, this probably the most respected physician in the entire country, saw us off at the airport. And he came up to me right as I was getting ready to leave and go through to board, and he grabbed me by my shoulders and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Dr. Merrill," he said, "we are no longer friends." And I wondered what I had done to offend him. In my mind, the way your mind works very rapidly, I thought, did we mess up someplace? Did somebody say or do something that they shouldn't have done? And after a brief pause, which seemed to me like a very long pause, still looking at me in the eyes, he said, "We are brothers."
In 1992, unfortunately, John Connor died of his Agent Orange lymphoma. In the end, he ended up having a funeral mass at Fordham Prep, where we went to high school together.
John's loss galvanized Operation Smile's commitment to the children and families of Vietnam, and the missions continued, one after another.
I want to go back a little bit about the very early day when Operation Smile entered Vietnam. Together with you, there were John Connors and Dr. Merrill.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Merrill just died very recently, just a couple of months ago. And wonderful, wonderful man. He was a surgeon that was in practice with me, and for the very first trip to Vietnam, he was on that trip. He did microsurgery, and he came over here 10 years in a row working with the doctors at the military hospital in 108 and working side by side with them. John Connor was just an incredible human being. Unfortunately, he died in 1992. And it was very difficult. I had become very, very close to John because of what we did after our 25th high school reunion. And, you know, we both learned a lot about the world together because of his idea. I was asked to give the eulogy at his funeral, which was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. But, you know, I think he lives on today in a lot of people's hearts.
And their legacy is still here, and you are helping them to, you know, continue the legacy and helping more people. Thank you so much. I can see that you are very emotional. Is there anything else you want to share about John Connors or Dr.
No, I just think it's the lesson that this friend was able to teach me that allows us to share that lesson with other people. And so today, to share it with the people that watch this and say, what am I doing to teach my fellow man?
Or to teach my children.
And those are the things that we should be thinking about. Not how much money we make or how successful we are. Not that that's bad. But but how do we share what we have, what the gifts we have with other people?
Yeah.
Thì sanh ra thì nó vậy rồi đó. Đó. Ăn cơm á thì mắc coi chừng á, sợ nó sặc á, sặc rồi nó cơm nó trào lên mũi hả chú hai. Bú vô cái là nó ọc cái trong miệng á, nó trào ra, nó nuốt đâu được chú hai. Bú vô là ọc ra.
Hỏi giờ có yêu chồng nhiều không?
Nữa.
Có trả lời quá. Mới thương đầu lòng anh nổi ra nổi tụ nào cũng trả lời.
Thì bây giờ nó đẹp hơn hồi trước. Đẹp hơn nhiều. Dạ tự nhiên.
Nó có chồng gia đình vui vẻ mừng không? Mừng cho nó không?
Mừng cho nó lập gia đình, cho nó có căn có cư nữa. Tôi 100 tuổi già cho tôi khỏe một chút, không lo đứa nào nữa. Bây giờ tôi lo hết trơn rồi đó.
You still remember the story of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had gotten married, and now she's had a child, so it's gone full circle for her.
Yeah.
Not to have a life, now to be married, now to have a child.
Right.
For her,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful, wonderful way to go for the future. So we're very happy to bring our lives together like that,
Yeah.
And create a difference.
Yeah. What about children who have cleft lips or cleft palates? How can the family of those children access to the support of Operation Smile?
All they have to do is they can go to the Facebook, they can go to the website. There's a
Yeah.
phone number that they can call. It's 0904885555.
Yeah.
And if they do that, they can get help.
Right.
We're there for them.
Yeah.
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 Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to ask more about the financial aid, the support that you help those kids. It's not just the surgery, but also, for example, people in mountainous areas.
Oh, yes.
Or people of ethnic backgrounds. So you also support them with the living and the travel expense.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So maybe can you share more about that?
Yeah, I think they shouldn't worry about if they don't have money, and we support their travel here. We make sure they are fed here, and they have a place to sleep while they're here.
Yeah.
And there's no charge for the surgeries.
None.
And the cost for such surgeries?
We say is it's as little as $240 a child.
Wow.
You know, it's different in different countries, different, you know, in the logistics and everything, but for a relatively small amount of money, you can change a person's life forever.
Yeah.
And we're blessed with the fact that we have so many volunteers who donate their time, because we could never afford all of the health professionals, the nurses, the doctors, the anesthesiologists, the surgeons, the pediatricians, the child life specialists, the speech pathologists, the dentists.
Yeah.
But it's completeness of care. And so it's the system that you set up.
Right.
That system can be replicated then to produce excellence.
What about the future projects here in Vietnam and also worldwide? Do you want to share?
Our goal is to, through children, now that we've gotten to be as big as we are, to not ever give up the cleft lip, cleft palate child, because there's so many to help around the world, hundreds of thousands of children. But through those children, to give us entree into caring people and caring countries, and to work side by side with us to improve the health care in the country, not just the cleft child, but the overall health care. And we can do that with the right people, with the right creativity, with the right investments. We'll be able to do that. And the reality is more people die every year in the world from lack of access to surgery than die from malaria, AIDS, and TB combined every year. So it's a massive problem. And we've got to address it, but we can't think of it as so complicated that we can't do it. Once we all work together, it's not that complicated anymore.
Thank you so much. Your story makes us believe in the power of sharing. And acting as a platform to help raise other people up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks to the devotion of the co-founders, Dr. Bill McGee and his wife, Kathy McGee, Operation Smile has been doing many activities here in Vietnam, helping so many children with cleft lips and cleft palates. And we are very thankful for their inspiring and beautiful stories. We hope you also feel the same. Thank you very much, and see you next time.